Nyasa swadhyaya yorapi kim vashreyo biranyescha nayatratma pradohari kim mayogena sankhena nyasa swadhyaya yorapi kim na shreyo biranyescha nayatratma pradohari. Translation and purpose by Srila Prabhupada. Transcendental practices that do not ultimately help one realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead are useless. Be they mystic yoga practices, the analytical study of matter, severe austerity, the acceptance of sannyas, or the study of the Vedic literature. All these may be very important aspects of spiritual advancement, but unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, all these processes are useless. But in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Lila, 24th chapter, 109 verse, it is said, Bhakti vina kevala jnana bhakti nahi haya bhakti sadhana kare yai prapta brahmanaya. Impersonalists do not take to devotional service, but take to other practices, such as the analytical study of the material elements, the discrimination between matter and spirit, and the mystic yoga system. These are beneficial only insofar as they are complementary to devotional service. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore told Sanatana Goswami that without a touch of devotional service, jnana, yoga, and Sankhya philosophy cannot give one the desired results. The impersonalists wish to merge into the Supreme Brahman. However, merging into the Supreme Brahman also requires a touch of devotional service. The absolute truth is realized in three phases: impersonal Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All these require a touch of devotional service. Sometimes it is actually seen that these Mayavadis also chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, although their motive is to merge. Into the Brahman effulgence of the Absolute. The yogis also at times take to chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and their purpose is different from that of the Bhaktas. In all processes, karma, jnana, or yoga, bhakti is required. That is the purport of this verse. Transcendental practices that do not ultimately help one realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead are useless, be they mystic yoga practices, the analytical study of matter, severe austerity, the acceptance of sannyas, or the study of the Vedic literature. All these may be very important aspects of spiritual advancement. But unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, all these processes are useless. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport to Bhagavad Gita 240 that the nature of material endeavor is such that unless material endeavor reaches to its uh, full completion, that material endeavor is futile. Prabhupada explains that. And unless in material endeavor, unless 100% is complete, fully, it is futile. It's like, for example, if a person in studies, say for example, so if a person is just class 3, class 4, class 5, class 8 pass out, it is futile. It has no meaning. Unless one reaches the top. Unless one reaches the very top of that particular stream. So the effort is futile. But then Srila Prabhupada explains that the nature of spiritual activities is such that the devotional service, and nothing is useless, even a little bit can give one eternal gain. Even a little bit endeavor on this path of devotional service can give unfathomable, insurmountable gain. And therefore, Krishna consciousness is termed as the eternal bank account. Now, in today's verse, we are seeing that as being described. And Narada Muni to appreciate us. Is that all the variegated practices of the various yoga systems in themselves are all incomplete unless devotional service bhakti is added. Unless the practice of bhakti is added. Rather, so much so that without the addition of bhakti, all these processes, the various processes of yoga system, whether it is dhyana, ashtanga yoga, mystic power, all of them are practically useless. Now, this is quite interesting. This is very much, that means that that means that all these processes are very much involving uh, because we see that means all these processes are very much on the material plane. Yes, that is definitely true. Because jnana, yoga, ashtanga yoga, all of them are very much on the material plane. So the practitioner not yet transcended onto the eternal plane. Because all these are material. It is simply fluffing around of material energy. That's all. So simply playing and fluffing around with material energy and expertising various levels of material energy does not take one anywhere unless there is bhakti, service to the Supreme. It is just like this. The expertising, when the Prabhupada speaks about, you see, the Prabhupada speaks about these yogis and yoga siddhis, and Prabhupada says these are all play toys. Children are playing with toys. Yogis are also playing with toys. The toys are more sophisticated. So in this material world, you see, everyone is playing with toys. Everyone is playing with toys. Children are playing with dolls and Leo cars and dolls. They are playing with. But but we see the intelligent pass outs from IIT. They are also playing with toys. They are playing with robots, robotics. They are making an artificial arm. So they are also playing with toys. You know, uh, underwater, overwater vehicles. They are also toys. Toys. You know, the activity is the same. The sophistication does not qualify one to be any better. Activity is the same. Activity is the same. So, so that means so-called IITians, they are no longer, they're no more any intelligent, any more intelligent than the children, because both are playing with toys. That's all. You know, both are playing with toys, and some people are playing with nano toys. Yeah, nano robots, nanospheres. Nano toys. So. Uh, so that's not any level better. Now, what about the yogis? And Prabhupada says they're also playing with toys. It's useless. They're wasting their lives. They are playing with toys of certain energy. They are playing with toys of certain energy. How to control the ants. Uh, so yoga siddhi is how to manipulate the shuttle arm, the shuttle senses in so much so to procure things, to control minds of people. So they're also, so that's also engineering. That's not engineering. It has nothing to give and take with Krishna consciousness. It has nothing to give and take with God. So therefore, their endeavors are no more much intelligence. It is useless. It is useless. Sophistication does not qualify one to become a better human. Sharanagati qualifies one to become a better human being. We have to understand. What about the Gyanis? What about the Gyanis? No, they are not after siddhis. So what are they doing? So they are after very complex, sophisticated constructs and modeling. The Gyanis are very similar to the scientists. The Gyanis are very similar to the scientists. One thing we see all scientists, most of the scientists have in common with the Gyanis is one of the things that all their philosophies and theories do not bring much good to anyone in this world. So, because most of the researches are so fragmented and so small, that it never scales up to be of any practical utility to any human being. So it never scales up to be of any practical utility. We see, say for example, this drive of alternate energy. Millions and billions of dollars have been spent on the research. Till now, the technology is not scalable. I think the common masses cannot use it. Till now, that technology is not scalable. Alternate energy. It's very costly, it's not scalable. Silicon wafers are very costly, it's not scalable. And organic perovskites, none of them are able to prove themselves to be scalable, although they're actually. So the point is that so simply philosophizing and making constructs and complex structures, abstract structures is also like a play. So all these complex abstract structures, they are also like plays. In this way, we see that the entire world has. So basically, this material world, just try to imagine what a kind of a ground is this material. It offers play toys to different kinds and mentalities of people, so much so that everybody is hooked. For how long? For eternity. People are playing around. Let's sit playing around. You see, chemists are playing around. Okay, there is this benzene. Let me put the sulfur at the ortho position and para position and meta position. And then on the second ring of the anthracene and the third ring of the naphthalene. So simply playing, nothing else. It may try to play around with the face-centered geometry or the body-centered geometry, the crystal lattice and so on. Playing. So now, therefore, we see that here the message which is being given is that unless they add bhakti, and that play is not going to be any useful. That expertise in playing is no more going to be any useful unless bhakti is added to it. Unless bhakti is added to it. So that is no more going to be any useful. It is just like this. Say, for example, if one is an expert cook has nothing to give and take with the devotional service. Somebody is an expert cook. His recipes are followed by millions of people in the world. So such an expert cook has nothing to give and take with devotional service. There is no additional benefit with an expert cook has. Such an expert cook can cook such a delicacy. Lakhs of people are following it and they are mesmerized by it. There is no progress on the ground of spiritual play. Yes, if this expert cook becomes a devotee and starts offering his cooking for the pleasure of the deities, for the pleasure of the Vaishnavas, then this expertise will come to some good utility. Is it not so? So simply expertising in the material plane, expertising, has no utility on the spiritual plane unless what one has is offered to Krishna. Therefore, it has been explained that these jnanis, they may have a lot of abstract philosophical constructs, but these constructs will have no value unless they are used for glorifying the Supreme God. Unless they are used for glorifying the Supreme God. Similarly, the yogis, their siddhis are not going to have any value unless they are used again, offered to the Supreme Lord as used for glorifying the Supreme. So that is why all these processes require the offering to the Supreme Lord. the offering to the Supreme Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself showed in his own life that simply theoretical, philosophical expertise is of no value. And Mahaprabhu was such a great scholar, and he would catch everyone, even devotees like Murari Gupta. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would catch them, and he would challenge them with logic. And he would ask them to prove or disprove his logic. And then he would prove his logic. Then he would disprove his logic, establish a third logic, then disprove it, establish the first logic. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be playing around, simply playing around. So these devotees, although their hearts would be so much attracted to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just seeing him, but they would be so fearful going near him. When Mahaprabhu would come, everybody would try to run away. Gadadhar Patel, Murari Gupta, they would be holding their hearts and with great difficulty, and they would be running away because if Nimai Pandit catches them, well, their hours and hours are gone into, simply jumping and doing gymnastics on logic, from here to there, there to there, there to there. There's also gymnastics and acrobatics, nothing else, The same Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he started exhibiting devotional service after his meeting with Sri Vishnu, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the same personality, so attractive as we about Krishna. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, again, he had the same power of speech. All the students, they packed up their books and they said, okay, whatever you follow, we are going to follow. After studying from you, we cannot study from any candidate in this entire creation. So they also started chanting Hari Haraya Nama, Krishna, Adavaya, Keshava. The same Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, now when he's speaking, people like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, people like Prakashananda Saraswati, they're dumbfounded, with the depths of the insights of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking about this expertise, is exhibiting a profile of having of being an of having an expertise in this field of grammar and logic. But it was of no any good value and usage to anybody unless Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became such a fervent devotee. So bhakti means whatever one should offer to Krishna. Manasa deho geho jo kichu mora arpi tu apane nanda kishore. Manasa deho geho jo kichu mora arpi tu apane nanda kishore. Offering whatever one has to the Supreme. So now the beautiful point comes now. Now the beautiful point, and the point is the point which comes to that. Okay, so if one is a devotee of the Lord, does one need to be an expert cook? No, not at all. Because if one is a devotee of the Lord, whatever one cooks, the Lord is going to accept. Whatever a devotee offers to the Supreme Lord, Krishna is going to accept that. So that Supreme Lord, so Lord Krishna did not accept the offering, the Chappan Bhog offering of Duryodhana. He went to Vidurji's place. And Vidurani, Mother Vidurani is so much ecstatic, see Krishna. And there's so much heart. She's forgetting what she's offering. She's offering the peels of the bananas, and Lord Krishna is eating the peels of the bananas. Lord Krishna is arguing with Srila Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami is offering atta mixed with water, Swami is saying, oh Lord, I am taking this only, you know. I mean, this is, whatever is taking, Lord is telling, there is nothing, at least give salt. Please give salt. You know? You're just offering the atta with water. No, please, Javana is water, you are, no, atta with water, you are offering. You please add salt at least. Sanatan Goswami is saying, where from I get salt? You know? Uh, where I will get salt from? No, I have, no. So I have my rounds to chant, I have my books to write, I have my preaching to do. Where is the time to get salt? You know? And Lord Madan Mohan is telling, at least salt. Sanatan Goswami, I don't have time, you know. If you wanted, you arrange for it. The Lord said, okay. So the Lord arranged for it. Lord arranged for it. You know? So one industrialist had come to seek blessings. And he had a wonderful business with his ship. And he came back, he wanted to offer some. You know? So Sanatan Goswami said, was looking around, and then they found out that there they had a rock with a rock salt. You know? They said, okay, you give that rock to me. He had kept it for in the board he had kept that. So he offered that rock salt, you know, and from that Sanatan Goswami was every day offering salt. So whatever a devotee offers in love and devotion, Lord Krishna is accepting. So this goes to explain. So the Lord Krishna is accepting. So one doesn't need to be an expert in cooking to be able to offer to the Supreme. So the principle is what? Now this teaches us a very interesting lesson. Or the interesting lesson is that the principle is to practice offering to Krishna whatever one has is the utmost principle. Whatever one has, the practice of offering whatever one has is the utmost principle. And one should not delay in that. Otherwise, it is simply a waste of time. Karma evadi kevalam. Shama evadi. Whatever one has, whatever one knows. People are talking about knowledge. Gajendra Maharaj, what knowledge he had? Somehow one verse which he was remembering in his past life slipped into his slipped into the deeper crevices of his memory. So in next life he's remembering just one verse. What was his knowledge? One verse. And that also he was only knowing the verse and maybe the mood of the verse, and not exactly knowing the details of the verse because he was actually not knowing whom he's calling. He was saying, "Oh Supreme Lord, I often surrender myself to you. Don't just deliver me from this crocodile, but deliver me from the crocodile of the material existence." So he is not knowing whom he is offering this prayer to. And all the devatas are also confused because they were also not knowing whom the prayer is being offered to. Only when Lord Vishnu started to come, then everybody understood that okay, the connection is made. Yoga is done. The connection is done. Everybody understood. He himself was not knowing Rajendra Maharaj, whom is offering this. So his knowledge of one verse he went back to God. How many verses? Now, how many verses one should memorize to go back to God? Bharat Chaitanya is one verse, it's good enough, but deep enough. One verse should be deep enough. So, so you see now, Gajendra Maharaj, that means that Maharaj Gajendra, in his previous life, he must have recited this verse many, many times with great feelings. And therefore, this life, when the activation happens, the verse along with the feelings both got ignited. Although the meaning is gone, the full meaning is gone, the feelings are there. That means he had performed that. And with great feelings, he had offered this prayer many, many times in his previous life. This because the feelings got awakened. Because otherwise, how without knowing the meaning, how can feelings come? So that feeling is not just coming from the situation. No. Because so that's what in Canto it is explained. Prabhupada explained that just suffering is not sufficient to ignite feelings. Because when suffering, acute suffering or very intense suffering comes, and feelings of, people develop suicidal feelings. People develop feelings of murder, People don't develop feelings of devotion or service, So just suffering is not sufficient or not at all sufficient to ignite these feelings, These feelings are coming from Purva Abhyas, the previous life practice of bhakti. Those are the feelings, the verse and the feelings, Both of them were stored, both got regenerated or evoked at the same time. So Gajendra Maharaj is explaining that okay, whatever one has, one should offer with great love and devotion to the Supreme Lord. Bhakti is the only prominent principle, and therefore Bhakti is the only prominent principle. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore explains that what is needed in Bhakti is to always chant the holy names of the Lord. Simply by chanting, we can please the Supreme Lord. Simply by repeating the message of the Lord, one can please the Supreme Lord. So, nothing is required in that sense. So, whatever expertise one has acquired, mental expertise, before one comes to Krishna consciousness, one can offer all that. Uh, and any further expertise, if the mission needs it, one can, and one is blessed and instructed to do so, one can embark upon it. But very carefully, not to get lost into it. Expertise, uh, whether it is, whether it is, whether it is close to Krishna, any material skill which seems to be very close to Krishna consciousness, or it is far off from Krishna consciousness, doesn't matter actually. If it is not offered to Krishna, if it is not subservient to the principles and the practices of bhakti, it is going to be a waste of time, or it is going to be an entangling network. Like sometimes we have seen some brahmacharis, they get very much intoxicated by the idea of learning Vedanta very efficiently. And they're bunking the morning program, and morning program time they're going into the field and going to practice. Morning hour practice is very nice. That sort of expertise is going to be a blockage in one's advancement of devotional service. Because the Lord is giving darshan, the Mangalarti is going on, and the devotee is out in some fields and practicing, out in some fields and practicing. That sort of expertise is very dangerous. Similarly, 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 trying to expertise and learning Sanskrit at the cost of not reading Srila Prabhupada purpose. Not reading Srila Prabhupada purpose. That is going to be very, very dangerous and deadly, actually. It can create a blockage. So, and that is the import of this verse, that that the prime pivotal practice of bhakti has to be, the prime prime practice has to be to offer whatever one has to the Supreme Lord. Offer whatever one has to the Supreme Lord. And and offer whatever one has to the Supreme Lord. That is the import of this verse. Let's stop here for today. Do we have any questions? Uh, yes, we have a question. So like inner practices, it was like previously from schedule or whatever, but we have tendency of this fruitive activity. So we are doing bhakti, a tendency of fruitive activity. Then how this personal this tendency one come out that loophole to engage with? Okay, so the question is that practice of the okay, in upbringing, you have developed a tendency for fruitive activity. So now, how to work on this tendency of fruitive activity? this tendency of fruitive activity. Yeah. So, how to overcome this tendency of fruitive? So we need, let's say, what we need is great alertness, great determination, and to be able to replace oneself with Krishna. Because fruitive activity means the center is the self. Instead of the self, we are replacing Krishna. So that requires strength. You know, in the beginning practices of sadhana, it may require strength, and it may require pain, but it is worth it. So one needs to be very alert and attentive that what I'm doing, the activity what I'm doing, is it being offered to Krishna or is it going for my own self gratification? I need to be very careful of that. So alert and determination is required to hold on, to continue the perseverance, the strength, like that. But we have all the ammunition available. The Supreme Lord Mercy is available. The great devotees of the Lord are available to give us such an inspiring example. All we have to do is take the ammunition and use it uh, to ensure that we are making enough contribution. Slowly, slowly, it starts becoming installed. The spirit, as heart is getting purified, the spirit of offering everything to Krishna will start getting installed. As love awakens, starts getting installed. So, mm, so that's the meaning of love. That's the meaning of love. And that love does get awakened by the practices of devotion service. Not simply by doing gymnastics in these areas of secondary expertise, which includes jnana, yoga, ashtanga, and so on. But by the practice of devotional service, the love gets awakened. The love gets awakened. So let's start here. Srimad Bhagavatam, great. Okay, so we'll start with this area.